Hello to all the enthusiastic learners who have come back here to know more about Hitler's Germany. This is part 3 of the video series where we are explaining Nazism and Rise of Hitler, a chapter in class 9th NCERT. Before we dive in deep into the part 3 of the lecture, we will have a small recap with starting from a quote of Mahatma Gandhi. He says, "It is enough to know the means. Means and ends are convertible terms in philosophy of my life." What does he mean here? Say, India's end was to achieve freedom. India had a choice of choosing non-violent as well as violent means. Where India chose non-violent means to end objective of freedom. When we achieved the end objective of freedom, we were non-violent. Today, India is considered a non-violent democratic republic because we choose non-violent methods to get freedom from Britain. Coming back to the lecture 1 started with a sad story about Helmut's father killing himself. As we have all seen in the movie Bahubali, how Katappa kills Bahubali is shown in the first part, and why did Katappa kill Bahubali is shown in the second part. The same way, Helmut's father is killing himself. This is the opening scene. And why is he killing himself? That goes back to the events which have happened in his life. And what were the events? Was a party called Nazism, where Helmut's father was also a part of Nazism, where they have made atrocities, right? They have carried out atrocities and created a mass murder. They made mass murder, that is genocide. And later we saw in any event, suppose say if an idea has to be formed, suppose an idea has to be formed in any person's life or any people's life, there will be events. Event number one, event number two, event number three. That is how he reaches an idea. Same way, here the Nazism is an idea. And people of Germany, that is, the German citizens, are approaching Nazism because of some events which have happened in their life. That event one is loss in First World War, where Germany fought against UK and France. They were the Allied powers. After losing the war, Hitler was a part of the war. He was in the army. He was born in 1889. He was in the army fighting for Germany. He was a patriot. And being a patriot, he felt very bad because Germany has lost the war. And because they have lost the war, they have lost their honor and dignity. Along with honor and dignity, the Allied powers are asking for war reparations from Germany. And they forced Germany to make a peace treaty called as Treaty of Versailles, which was very harsh and humiliating. To restore the dignity of German citizens chose a way of republic democracy. After the First World War, the monarch who fought from Germany's army had fled. He ran away. Now, the Germany had no political establishment, and because of that, German citizens chose democracy as their political establishment. And eventually, they created a parliament called as Reichstag. Reichstag, however, did not solve the issues, did not make peace with the Allied powers to reduce the war reparations. And hence, German people now considered Weimar Republic as not solving their problem, and hence they were calling them as November criminals. Mostly, the German citizens are in favor of republic, but few German citizens who are not in favor of republic were formed a group called as Party's League, where communism was their main idea. Party's League aimed to create social equality, and also they opposed imperialistic policies and militarism like Bolsheviks. But The Spartans League were crushed by a group called as Free Corps, who were representatives of Weimar Republic, and hence Weimar Republic continued the rule in Germany. And later, Spartans League, they made Communist Party of Germany. In the same period, soldiers' life in the war was placed above civilians and they were glorified. But in actual sense, soldiers' life was very terrible. Same way, the society of Germany wanted to have conservative dictatorship like the monarch. Say they wanted a dictator like a monarch who could take out them from this humiliating loss in First World War. Next event was in 1923 where there was an economic crisis. Now, the war reparations were to be paid to the Allied powers in gold, but Germany did not have any gold left out in their reserves, and hence French occupied their leading industrial area Ruhr. After occupying the industrial area, German citizens lost their jobs, and Germany had no way to pay back the war reparations which the Allied powers were wanting. Hence, Americans wanted to help Germany and eventually, they faced their own problems when the Wall Street Exchange had collapsed in 1929. Hence, there was no help for Germany and there was no gold. Because of that, Germany started printing money. Because there was so much money or the currency, paper currency, which was being circulated, the prices of the essential goods started getting inflated and people started losing their jobs even more. In the fear of losing their jobs, that was proletarianization. The German people were looking for solution. So what was the solution? Solution was employment. So for the solution of Weimar Republic was to eliminate Reichstag. The fourth event, which was the defects in the constitution of Weimar Republic. There was proportional representation which made very difficult for Germany to get a majority, which was very difficult Germany to get republic. Because Germany is not getting majority. See, what happens is the government works on utilitarian principle. Whenever a republic is formed, it works on a utilitarian principle. What does the utilitarian principle say? Suppose now Modi ji in BJP says "Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas," meaning most of the people, that is high amount of people, are getting benefited from the policies which Modi ji is bringing. Example Ram Mandir. Who doesn't want Ram Mandir to be built in Ayodhya, right? So people give a mandate. People started giving mandate to BJP so that BJP comes to power and does this. But in case of Germany, there is no majority which has been given to a single party. And the second problem was Article 48, which gave the president the powers to impose emergency and suspend civil rights and rule by decree. Similar article is in India, that is Article 352, right? So this is what our recap is. Hence, let us go to the further lecture. Who is going to give all these solutions? Who is going to give the employment? Who is going to eliminate the tag? Who is going to restore the dignity? But currently, Germany is having a republic system wherein if anybody has to come to power, they have to participate in elections. What? They have to participate in elections. So, Hitler's rise to power. The crisis in economy, polity, and society formed the background to Hitler's rise to power. As we have seen, whatever the events which decided that somebody, the German citizens were looking for somebody, right? He was born in 1889 in Austria. Hitler spent his youth in poverty. When the First World War broke out, he enrolled for the army and acted as a messenger in the front, became a corporal, and earned medals for his bravery. The German defeat horrified him, and the Versailles Treaty made him furious. In 1919, he joined a small group called as German Workers' Party. Now here, from the army in 1914, he joined in the army and after breaking out, after the loss of World War One of Germany, he joined a small group called as German Worker Party. He subsequently took over the organization and it renamed it as National Socialist German Worker Party. The party came to be known as Nazi Party. So, in the recap, when we saw Germany is having a democratic republic kind of polity. In such a kind, how can anybody come to power? How can anybody come to power by participating in elections? So Hitler knew this very well. So he is participating in elections by having his own party, that is National Socialist German Workers' Party, that is known as Nazi Party. In 1923, Hitler planned to seize the control of Bavaria and march to Berlin to capture power. So this is how Bavaria is so far from Berlin, but he wanted to capture this area so that he goes to Berlin and capture the power there. Now, Hitler planned to seize the control of Bavaria and march to Berlin and capture power. He failed and was arrested and tried for treason. What is treason? Treason is whatever crime when a person, it's a crime for attacking a state. And later he was released. Nazis could not effectively mobilize popular support till early 1930s. It was during Great Depression that Nazism became a mass movement. As we have seen, after 1929, banks collapsed and businesses shut down, and workers lost their jobs, and the middle class were threatened with destitution. In such a situation, Nazi propaganda stirred hopes for a better future. So, what is propaganda? Propaganda is you're promoting something by usage of newspapers, by social media, news, right, and posters. That is what is propaganda. What is Nazi people doing? Nazi is a group, a political party. Now, like Aam Aadmi Party, like BJP, like Congress, how before the elections they come with their own placards and say this is what we're gonna do. Same way, Nazi Party is doing it. So in 1928, Nazi Party not no more got no more than 2.6% votes in Reichstag. Reichstag is the parliament. But by 1932, it had become the largest party in with 37% votes. See, now it is like 2%. Now Aam Aadmi Party was getting so less votes, but later they won in Punjab elections the same way. Now here, Nazi Party was very small party, but now they have won. That is with 37 percentage of votes. You can see how the people, how the citizens of Germany are supporting Nazi Party now. Hitler was a very powerful speaker. What made him so attractive? Because he was very powerful speaker, and his passion and his works were moved the people. He promised to build a strong nation, undo the justice of Versailles Treaty, and restore the dignity of German people. And he promised employment for those looking for work and secure future for youth. So that we saw event one. In event one, the German citizens wanted to restore their dignity. And in event three, we saw that the Germans youth were looking for employment. The same thing is who is promising? Hitler is promising. He promised to weed out all the foreign influences and resist all the foreign conspiracies against Germany. Hitler devised a new style of politics. He understood the significance of ritual, spectacle in mass mobilizations. He understood what they have to do so that everyone comes together and supports Nazism. So, Nazis held massive rallies and public meetings to demonstrate the support for Hitler and instill a sense of unity among the people. The red banners with swastika and the Nazi salute, the ritualized rounds of applause after the speeches were all part of his spectacle power. So the Hitler's plan was to glorify himself as a messiah. That is, he was the only person who can save Germany. So Nazi propaganda skillfully projected Hitler as a messiah, as a savior, uh, as someone who has arrived to deliver people from their distress. It is an image that captured the imagination of the people whose sense of dignity and pride had been shattered, who were living in the time of acute economic and political crisis. So this is what people were willing, and Hitler was the person who emerged, who can solve all those three problems which we have discussed, right? So next one, the first thing what he is doing is he is trying to destroy the democracy. There we saw in the event two, what was the solution to eliminate Reichstag. The solution which he thought that we have to eliminate the parliament. Right, so that is the reason to eliminate the parliament, he has to eliminate the democracy. So how does he eliminate the democracy? So what does he do? So on 30th of January 1933, President Hindenburg offered the chancellorship, the highest position in the cabinet of ministers, to Hitler. By now, Nazi has managed to rally the conservatives to their cause. Who are the conservatives? Conservatives are those people who wanted monarchical system back. That is, they wanted the king back. So Nazi had managed to rally. Nazis had convinced the conservatives that they are Hitler is one person who can bring back the whole glory to Germany. Having acquired power, Hitler set out to dismantle the structures of democratic rule. A mysterious fire that broke out in German parliament during February facilitated his move. The fire decree of 28th February 1933 indefinitely suspended civic rights like freedom of speech, press, assembly that had been guaranteed by Weimar Constitution. So here, by using a law of fire decree by emergency powers, he has suspended the civic rights like freedom of speech, press and assembly that had been guaranteed by Weimar Republic in their constitution. Then he turned on his arch enemies. Now Hitler is against a group of people called as communist. So he turned on his arch enemies, the communists, most of whom were hurriedly packed off to the newly established concentration camps. Concentration camps were was set up so that they can kill the communist. Okay, concentration camps are the name given to killing places. The repression of the communist was severe. Out of the surviving 6,808 arrest files of Düsseldorf, a small city of half million population, 1,440 were those of communist alone. They were, however, only one among the 52 type of victims prosecuted by Nazis. Prosecuted is killed by Nazi across the country. See how democracy is being killed by whom? By Hitler. So this is the way how he is trying to achieve his objective, the end objective. The end objective of Germany is to restore the dignity. But by killing a democracy, by killing so many people, by sending them to concentration camps, that is the means which who Hitler is using. On March of 1933, the famous Enabling Act was passed. This act established dictatorship in Germany. It gave Hitler all the powers to sideline the parliament and rule by decree. So, Hitler took all the powers from the parliament and he said, I'll only rule. Whatever rule I am making, that is final. According to him, whatever rule is saying, it is final. So, all the political parties and trade unions were banned except for Nazi Party and its affiliates. The state established a complete control over economy, media, army, and judiciary. State is nothing but the government. Now, who is government here? In a dictatorship, only one person is the government, and who is that person? It is Hitler. So he is establishing complete control over economy, media, army, and judiciary. Special surveillances and security forces were created to control and order the society in ways that Nazis wanted. So, however Nazis wanted, they created the security forces. Apart from the already existing regular police in green uniform and the SA or the stormtroopers, these included Gestapo. Gestapo is a secret state police service. Like we have raw research analysis wing, same way they had Gestapo. And the SS, the protection squads, and the criminal police and security services. It was extra constitutional powers of the newly organized forces that gave Nazi state its reputation as the most dreaded criminal state. So, because of all these forces, Nazi state had become called as the most dreaded criminal state. People could now be detained in Gestapo torture camps. See, when a secret uh, action is taken, right? So they are taken. The citizens who have been arrested, they are taken into the Gestapo torture chambers and rounded up and sent to concentration camps, and deported at will and arrested without any legal procedures. The police forces acquired powers to rule with impunity. The police forces acquired the powers to rule with impunity. Impunity is what? It's like nobody is asking what they're doing and why they're doing it. Right? The next one is Reconstruction. Now Hitler wants economic recovery. The event too which we were saying that how Hitler is planning to give jobs to the youth of Germany. Hitler assigned the responsibility of economic recovery to an economist, Jalmar Stach, who aimed at full production and full employment through state-funded work creation program. State-funded is the government-funded work creation program. This project produced the famous German superhighways and people's car, that is Volkswagen. So, like they're concentrating on infrastructure. They're concentrating on infrastructure so that many people will come to work, and this work will create more companies to come to Germany, and hence they can get employment. Right? Same, that is Volkswagen. If at all, if a car is produced, in a car manufacturing company, there will be employees, and for those employees, they'll be getting jobs. In foreign policy also, Hitler acquired quick successes. He pulled out of League of Nations in 1933. League of Nations was created after First World War so that peace can be restored. And that group had Germany also, but Germany has been taken out by Hitler in 1933 from the League of Nations, and reoccupied Rhineland in 1936 and integrated Austria and Germany in 1938 under the slogan One People, One Empire, and One Leader. He then went on to wrest German speaking Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia and gobbled up the entire country. In all of this, he had unspoken support of England. So England is supporting Hitler to do all this, which had considered Versailles Treaty too harsh. The quick successes at home and abroad seemed to reverse the destiny of the country. Hitler did not stop here. Sachs had advised Hitler against investing hugely in rearmament of the state, rearmament, as the state still ran on deficit financing. What is deficit financing? See, when the state is not getting enough revenues, but the state is spending more. When spending is more, when the spending is more than the revenue which has been received, and what will the state do? It will start borrowing or minting new funds. That is what is deficit financing. The economic advisor of Hitler is saying that please don't invest in rearmament, meaning don't invest in military weapons, right? But Hitler is not listening because cautious people had no place in Germany. Sachs had to leave. Hitler chose war as a way out of approaching the economic crisis. See, this is also fine. Now, say as France did. What did France do? France occupied an industrial area of Ruhr. France occupied industrial area of Ruhr in Germany so that they get more resources and more employment. Same way, what is German? That is Hitler thinking. Hitler thinking, I'll again take back the industrial areas so that I can give employment. But Hitler did not estimate the problems associated with it. So Hitler thought resources were to be accumulated through expansion of territory. In September 1939, Germany invaded Poland. So Germany started invading towards the eastern area, that is towards Poland, because it wanted more area so that it can get more industries and more resources so that it can get economically stable. Strengthening Hitler's claim to the international power, puppet regimes and supportive of Nazi Germany were installed in large part of Europe. By the end of 1940, Hitler was at a pinnacle of his power. So in 1940, Hitler was the highest. So we have to understand one thing. In 1940, what is happening in India? India was trying to come out of the clutches of Britain. That India was struggling. India was in a freedom struggle against the Britain, right? Hitler moved Hitler now moved to achieve his long-term aim of conquering Eastern Europe. He wanted to ensure food supplies, living spaces for Germans. He attacked Soviet Union in June 1941. In this historic blunder, Hitler exposed the German Western Front to British aerial bombing and Eastern Front to powerful Soviet Unions. So, even though England, even though England thought that Germany is being subjected to very bad norms under Treaty of Versailles, but England did not stop bombing Germany because they were part of Allied powers, and Germany had started to expand eastwards, but the Western Front was opened. But Eastern Front had a very powerful army also. The powerful army in the Eastern Front. They were more powerful than Germany's, and the German people are getting defeated in the Eastern Front, and in the Western Front also, England is bombing them. The Soviet Red Army inflicted a crushing and humiliating defeat on Germany at Stalingrad. After this, Soviet Red Army hounded out the retreating German soldiers until they reached the heart of Berlin, establishing Soviet hegemony over the entire Eastern Europe for half a century thereafter. Meanwhile, USA had resisted the involvement in the war. It was unwilling to once again face all the economic problems that the First World War had caused. We know in Allied powers, along with UK and France, even USA was there. Along with that, USSR was also there, correct? So USA is not entered into the Second World War where it has been started by Germany, that is Hitler. Okay, but now USA is also trying to enter the war because of some issue. What is that issue? But it could not stay out of the war for long. Japan was expanding its power in the east. So because Japan was expanding against USA, okay, USA had to come into the war. It had occupied French Indochina and was planning attacks on USA naval bases in Pacific. When Japan extended support to Hitler and bombed the US bases of Pearl Harbor, USA entered the Second World War and the war ended in 1945 May with Hitler's defeat and US dropping an atomic bomb on Hiroshima in Japan. From the brief account on what had happened in the Second World War, we now return to Helmut and his father's story, a story of Nazi criminality during the war. So, during the war, what all Nazis did so that they can go to the war, right? So that is what we're gonna see in the next part of the video lecture. Thank you for watching. Please stay with us so that you can see the next parts of the video lecture.